Here are the worst books I read in 2022 so you don't have to. I had 6 books that I rated as 1 star in 2022. Now, please note that for me, a 1-star review means that I did not finish it. Also, just a quick reminder that reviews are always subjective, and just because they were 1 star for me doesn't necessarily mean that they would be 1 star for you. Make sure you take my critiques and filter them through your own experience to see if the book is worth reading or not. A Gentleman Undone, Blackshear Family, Book 2 by Cecilia Grant. Lydia forms an alliance with increasingly high stakes with Will Blackshear at the gambling tables. I read the first book in this series and thought it was fine, but I was in a bit of a historical romance kick, so I decided to give the second one a try. It's not that this book was bad, it just really didn't grab my attention, even though Lydia is a really spunky and fun heroine. The next book is probably the book I'm gonna get the most hate for. House of Earth and Blood, Crescent City Book 1 by Sarah J. Maas. When Bryce's closest friends are murdered by a demon, she'll team up with a notorious fallen angel to find the murderer. Let me just say, I do like Sarah J. Maas's books typically. Or at least I liked the Throne of Glass series, because that's all I've read. This book, though, was just boring. It took way too long to get to the point. I know everybody says that it gets better at the end, but I'm not gonna read 600 pages to get to the good part. To me, that's just a waste of time. This book needed a really hard edit and had some problems with consistency of tone. If you're murdering a bunch of people with a demon, I expect the tone to be pretty dark and gritty, and it wasn't. I'm as disappointed in myself for not liking this story as someone who does seem to like Sarah J. Maas's books. The Year Before the End by Vidar Hogstad. A mysterious alien race called the Centauri gifts humanity with a gate that can travel the galaxy, and the ship the Black Rain must find out why. I know that there's some discourse in the book community on whether or not you should give low ratings to arcs that you receive for review. And let me tell you, yes, I think you should. For example, a 3-star for me is actually a pretty good rating, and a lot of authors will be offended by a 3-star rating, and you shouldn't be. The writing style and I just did not jive for this book. I thought it was very info-dumpy instead of letting me discover the world through the characters. What the concrete is made out of is just not a level of detail that I need in a book. That may be some people's things, but it's just not mine. What was your least favorite book that you read in 2022? Let me know down in the comments. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Lucy and Joshua are executive assistants to co-CEOs of a publishing firm, and their rivalry comes to a fever pitch when they go after the same promotion. Okay, let me preface this by saying that I work as an executive assistant as my day job. My sister and I were listening to this on audio as we were traveling, and we both decided to DNF it. We just couldn't get past the hating part of the book. It's really brutal, and I'm sorry, but the fact that 2 characters dislike each other so much at work and are so unprofessional that HR gets involved, not only is it unrealistic as an executive assistant, it made the characters incredibly unlikable. That being said, I said at the time that I felt like it would be a better movie and would probably be a kind of entertaining movie, and I was right after watching the movie on Hulu. I don't love the movie, mainly for the same reasons that I don't like the book, but I did watch all of it. Croak by Gina D'Amico. Troublemaker Lex gets sent to her uncle's house for the summer where he will teach her to be a Grim Reaper. I DNF'd this book because I just couldn't connect with Lex. She just wasn't a likable person and was incredibly immature, and I didn't want to stick around to find out if that changed. Kingsgate Book 1 by Daniel Pierce. Security guard Alex Burke wakes up in a new world filled with elves, magic, monsters, and demons. So this book was recommended to me by Audible, and it was free to listen, and my pocketbook was pretty tight because of the holidays, so I decided to give it a try. I DNF'd after the 3rd chapter. The audiobook is good quality, but at the end of the day, there was just a lot of toxic stuff even in those first 3 chapters. And that can particularly be seen by the depiction of the female elf that Alex meets. She was hypersexualized and honestly was there mostly as a fantasy and not a real person. Could that have changed as the book progressed? Yes. Was I going to stick around to find out? No. This kind of depiction of female characters is why I tend to gravitate towards female authors. I am not saying that men cannot write interesting and complex female characters. In fact, there's an author that I mentioned in my Best of 2022 video that I think writes really good female characters. So if you want to see who that is, check out this video. Let's see what stories tomorrow brings.